What happens when a little girl is told she's too dark to be beautiful? What happens when Hollywood tells an African woman she doesn't fit their standard? And what happens when that same woman stands on the Oscar stage proving everyone wrong? This is the story of Lupita Nyong'o, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll see beauty in a completely different way. Lupita Amondi Nyong'o was born on March 1st, 1983 in Mexico City, Mexico. Yes, Mexico. Her parents were Kenyan, but her father, Peter Anyang Nyong'o, was a political science professor working in Mexico at the time. When Lupita was less than a year old, the family returned to Kenya. Growing up in Nairobi, Kenya, Lupita was surrounded by love. Her parents were educated and supportive. Her father later became a prominent politician and eventually a governor. Her mother, Dorothy, was a strong, intelligent woman who ran the family home with grace. But despite all the love at home, outside those walls, young Lupita faced a cruel reality. She was dark-skinned, very dark. And in Kenya, just like in many parts of Africa and the world, lighter skin was seen as more beautiful. From a young age, Lupita heard comments. Relatives would say, "Ah, this one is too dark. Maybe she should stay out of the sun." Classmates at school called her names: Blackie, Charcoal, Midnight. One day, a girl in her class looked at her and said, "You're so black, you're almost blue. How can you even look at yourself in the mirror?" Lupita ran home crying that day. She looked at herself in the mirror and wished her skin was lighter. She wished she looked like the girls in the magazines. She wished she looked like the girls on TV. Her mother found her crying and asked what was wrong. Lupita said, "Mama, why am I so dark? Why can't I be light like the other girls?"
Her mother held her and said, "Lupita, your skin is beautiful. You are beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." But those words, though kind, couldn't erase the pain Lupita felt every single day. As a teenager, Lupita saw advertisements for skin bleaching creams everywhere. On TV, in magazines, on billboards. The message was clear. Dark skin is not beautiful. Light skin is success. Light skin is love. Light skin is worth. Lupita was tempted. She thought about using those creams. She thought about changing herself to fit in. But something inside her refused. She later said in an interview, "I didn't use the creams, not because I was strong, but because I was scared of what my mother would say if she found out." Despite the pain of colorism, Lupita found an escape: acting. She loved performing in school plays. She loved becoming someone else, even if just for a few hours. On stage, she wasn't the dark girl who didn't fit in. She was a character. She was free.
At 16, Lupita played Juliet in a school production of Romeo and Juliet. It was the first time she felt truly beautiful. The audience clapped. People cheered. For the first time, her dark skin didn't matter. That's when she decided, "I want to be an actress." But when she told people her dream, they laughed. Her friends said, "Lupita, be serious. There are no African actresses in Hollywood. You'll never make it." Even some family members were skeptical. They said, "Acting is not a real career. Study something serious. Become a doctor or a lawyer." But Lupita's parents were different. Her father said, "If this is what you love, go and try. Give it everything you have." So at age 19, Lupita moved to the United States to study film at Hampshire College in Massachusetts. It was the first time living away from Kenya, away from Africa, and it was harder than she ever imagined.
America was cold, not just the weather, but the people. Lupita quickly realized that in America, being African was seen as inferior. Being dark-skinned was seen as unattractive. Being a black woman with natural hair was seen as unprofessional. In her film classes, professors would show movies with no black leads. When Lupita asked why, they said, "Well, black stories don't sell. The audience wants to see white characters." At auditions, casting directors would look at her and say, "You're beautiful, but you're too dark for this role. Can you lighten your skin a bit?" Others said, "We're looking for someone more relatable. You know, someone American audiences can connect with." What they really meant was, "You're too African, too black, too different." Lupita was heartbroken. She had left her family, her home, her country to chase this dream.
And now, people were telling her it was impossible. There were nights when Lupita sat alone in her small dorm room crying. She thought about giving up. She thought about going back to Kenya and forgetting this dream. But then she would remember her mother's words. You are beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. After finishing college, Lupita decided to go even further. She applied to the Yale School of Drama, one of the best acting schools in the world. It was a long shot. Thousands applied. Only a few were accepted. When Lupita got her acceptance letter, she cried tears of joy. She called her mother and said, Mama, I got in. I'm going to Yale. At Yale, Lupita studied harder than anyone else. She took every class seriously. She practiced her craft day and night. She learned different accents, different styles, different techniques. But even at Yale, she faced challenges. Professors would cast her in roles as slaves, maids, or servants, never as the lead, never as the romantic interest, always as the background character. One professor told her, Lupita, you're talented, but Hollywood has a type, and unfortunately, you're not it. Those words cut deep. But Lupita refused to quit. In 2012, while still at Yale, Lupita heard about auditions for a new film called 12 Years a Slave. It was based on the true story of Solomon Northup, a free black man who was kidnapped and sold into slavery. The director, Steve McQueen, was looking for someone to play Patsy, an enslaved woman who suffered horrific abuse. It was a small role, but a powerful one. Lupita auditioned, then she auditioned again, and again, and again, 7 times. Steve McQueen saw something special in her. He saw pain, he saw strength, he saw truth. Finally, he called her and said, The role is yours. Lupita couldn't believe it. This was her first major film role. She was terrified. She was excited. She was ready. Filming 12 Years a Slave was one of the hardest things Lupita ever did. The role required her to cry, to scream, to show raw pain. Every day on set, she had to relive the trauma of slavery. There was one scene where her character, Patsy, is brutally whipped. Lupita had to film that scene over and over. By the end of the day, she was emotionally and physically drained. But she gave everything she had. She poured her soul into that role. When 12 Years a Slave premiered at film festivals, critics were shocked. They said, Who is this actress? Where did she come from? She's incredible. Lupita started getting attention. Magazines wanted to interview her. Talk shows invited her. People wanted to know her story. And then came the awards season. Lupita won the Screen Actors Guild Award. She won the BAFTA. And then, on March 2, 2014, she sat in the audience at the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles for the 86th Academy Awards. When the presenter said, and the Oscar goes to Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave, the room exploded in applause. Lupita stood up, tears streaming down her face. She hugged her family, she hugged the director, and she walked to the stage. Holding the Oscar in her hands, Lupita looked at the audience and said, It doesn't escape me for one moment that so much joy in my life is thanks to so much pain in someone else's. And so I want to salute the spirit of Patsy. Then she said something that made millions of young black girls around the world cry. She said, No matter where you're from, your dreams are valid. Back in Kenya, her family watched on TV, crying with pride. In schools across Africa, young girls saw someone who looked like them holding an Oscar. For the first time, they believed it was possible. After winning the Oscar, Lupita became a global icon. She appeared on the cover of Vogue, she became the face of Lancôme, she starred in Black Panther, one of the biggest films in history. She became a voice for dark-skinned women everywhere. In speeches, Lupita often talked about her childhood pain. She said, I remember praying to wake up lighter skinned. But now I stand here and I am grateful for my dark skin. It is a part of my identity. It is beautiful. Her words inspired millions. Young girls stopped using bleaching creams. Mothers started teaching their daughters to love their natural skin. The conversation about beauty standards began to change. Lupita Nyong'o's story teaches us powerful lessons. First, beauty is not one shade. It is every shade. Second, rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're meant for something greater. Third, representation matters. When young girls see someone like them succeed, they believe they can too. Fourth, your pain can become your power. Lupita used her painful experiences to fuel her art. Fifth, Never dim your light to make others comfortable. Lupita refused to bleach her skin, and the world learned to see her beauty. From a little girl who was called too dark to an Oscar-winning actress celebrated around the world, from being told she would never make it in Hollywood to changing the definition of beauty, Lupita Nyong'o proved that African beauty is not something to hide, it is something to celebrate. So what did you learn from Lupita Nyong'o's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible African success stories. Next week, we're bringing you the story of Aliko Dangote, the man who started with nothing and became the richest person in Africa. You don't want to miss it. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter where you're from, your dreams are valid.